Now then guys, how you doing? Welcome to the channel. Borussia Dortmund, did they need a rebuild? I wouldn't have thought so. Their team looks strong enough. However, it wasn't strong enough to lift the Bundesliga title as they bottled it on the final game of the season, drawn against Mainz, to gift it to Bayern Munich. So that's what it's about these 3 seasons. Can we leave the Bundesliga trophy? Yes, I think we can within 3 seasons, absolutely. But can we do even more in Europe? That is the big thing, you know. Dethroning Bayern is one thing, but beating the likes of PSG, Real Madrid, Manchester City in the Champions League is a completely different animal. But that's what we're going to do. We are going to rebuild Borussia Dortmund over 3 seasons, and hopefully we're going to add some more silverware to their trophy cabinet. So if you are new to the channel, please like and subscribe. It would mean a lot, as we are very close to 2,500 subscribers now, almost there, and it's within our grasp, so please subscribe. It would mean a lot. But yes, let's get into rebuilding Borussia Dortmund. Right then guys, so here we are on the club info screen, and the first thing I see that is our media prediction for this season of the Bundesliga is 2nd place. There'll be no surprises for who is expected to take that top spot, but like I said, that is the aim of this rebuild, is just to knock Bayern Munich off their perch. Now we play our games at Signal Iduna Park in Dortmund in Germany. It's got a capacity of 81,000, so a big old stadium, and it's in a very good condition. And then when we look at the club overview, they last won the league in 2012. First place finish there, and the season before they managed to retain it. But the last couple of seasons, it's not been too bad for them, you know. 2nd place finishes in 3 of their last 4 seasons. 3rd place finish in 2021. But when we look at the Champions League, they last won it in 1997, the Bundesliga in 2012, and the Pokal in 2021. So they have won some silverware recently, you know, as close as 2021. But for me, I just want to absolutely dominate the domestic league and then really take it to those European giants. So competitions, like I've just said, we've got the Bundesliga, the Pokal, and the Champions League. And in the Bundesliga, we've just seen the season preview. The expectation is a 2nd place finish, top place going to Bayern Munich. And we've got one player in the Media Dream 11, and obviously that is Jude Bellingham, who is an absolute superstar. So finances then, what have I got to work with? So the overall balance is 15.8 million, the transfer budget is 8.6 million, and the wage budget is 2.3 million. However, I am getting 100% of transfer revenues being made available. And then debt and loans wise, no net debt. This is the first rebuild that I've done in an almighty long time where we're not crippled with debt, so that is good to see. And the transfer debt is £106 million, but that is £106 million owed back to the club. So hopefully we'll see some of that generated back into our transfer budget. So looking at what the board want then, so this season's expectations are to reach the knockout stages of the Champions League, to qualify for the Champions League again, to reach the latter stages of the Pokal, and to work towards developing the best youth system in the country. I can live with that, and the board culture is basically to play attacking football, develop the youth team, play entertaining football, and to sign players under the age of 21. What about the supporters though? What do they want? So they want us to carry on with that youth system, play attacking football, sign German players where possible, finish above Schalke, and become recognised as the best of the rest. I think we're already recognised as the best of the rest, in fairness, but that's not good enough for us. Absolutely not good enough for us, you know. We need to knock Bayern off top spot. That is it. I've harped on about it in the first 2-3 minutes of this video. I've talked about it long enough, but we need to put it into action. And then when we look at the tactic, what is the squad that's going to put it into action then? So this is likely to be my best 11, and I'm going to play with a false 9. This is a tactic that I used with Dortmund in a tactic video that I've done, and the false 9 worked to treat Marco Reus, absolutely tearing it apart. So we're playing a custom tiki-taka on a positive mentality, and my starting 11 would look like this. Injuries included, with Kobel in goal, Guerrero, Sula, Hummels and Wolf at the back with Bellingham, Erechan and Brandt in the midfield, then Adeyemi, Royce and Makoko up front. That is a quality team already. You know, it doesn't really need a rebuild. There's enough depth in this squad as well. There's a really good bench there. We just need everyone to stay fit, the tactic to work, and the results to come. So looking at the squad then, the highest valued player at the club is naturally Jude Bellingham at £115 million. But Adeyemi there at £59 million, there's definitely more value to come from him as well. But when we just look at Bellingham, he is incredible. That determination of 20 is obviously going to help him continue to develop. He's a perfectionist personality, and we brought him in for £25 million from Birmingham, where he played 41 times in his first breakthrough season, scoring 4 goals. He's not a proven goal scorer, that's the thing. I've heard that criticism before, but I'm expecting him to get some goals from deep in the midfield this season. And then the highest earner at the club is Sebastian Haller, who's obviously out for 6 to 7 months. He was suffering with a serious illness, so yes, we're not going to see him until the new year. So Sebastian Haller, 180k per week, massive money. And then finally looking at the squad dynamics and some team cohesion is poor. There's a lot of new players joining the club, but the atmosphere is good and the managerial support is average. Does anybody oppose us? No. No player supporters. 25 players have no real opinioners. I'm happy with that. I've only just stepped through the door today, so at least I haven't got any of the players baying for blood as soon as I've arrived. So what we're going to do then, guys, we're going to move forward to the start of Season 1, where we'll see if I've spent this £8.6 million or if I need to sell some players to generate some more funds. But looking at this squad, we're almost there. Right then, guys, so we're back for the start of Season 1, and I haven't really done anything at all, if I'm honest. I brought one player in, let one player leave, and when we look at the finances, I've 300k left in the transfer budget. I am spending the best part of 60k over on the wages at the minute. Overall balance is 16.3 million. That net debt is still 0. Transfer debt 103 million. So the one player that's left us then is Mahmoud Dahoud, who has gone to RB Leipzig, and he stayed in the Bundesliga. We let him go for £10 million after we brought him in for 10.5. He would have been a squad depth player, no issue with that at all. You know, we need it with the competitions that we're in, but £10 million from Leipzig come in and I'll let him go. And I let him go because I needed the funds to bring in two Coop miners. So he joins us for a decent sum, I would say. £23 million. Yes, he joined Atalanta last season for £12 million. So they've made an £11 million profit. But I'm happy to bring him in for £23 million. Currently valued at £49 million. Tireless defensive midfielder. You know, he could realistically would be better at the base of a 3. However, I'm playing with a flat 3, but I'm going to play him as a ball-winner midfielder with a Mazzala on either side. So yeah, Coop Miners comes in, and he's a solid all-round player. So I spoke about the rebuild that had happened before I took over the club, and you can see there, from outgoing transfers, £77 million is what we brought in. So Erling Haaland obviously going to Manchester City. He joined them for £51 million, which is a bargain, if I'm completely honest, £51 million. And we spent a total of £131 million rebuilding the squad after Erling Haaland left. So tactically, is there much change? Not at all. We're still going to play that 4-3-3 with the false 9 Royce in that position. That'll just be a mixture of absolutely anyone who can play up top at the moment, as we don't have a natural false 9. I haven't been able to bring anybody in over the summer, but that doesn't worry us. Like I say, Royce will be the main man when he returns to fitness. So this is my best 11 then, with Kobel in goal, Guerrero, Zula, Hummels and Wolf at the back, with Bellingham, Coop Miners and Emre Can next to him, with Moukoko, Royce and Adeyemi up front. That's a quality starting 11. So competitions-wise then, we've got the Bundesliga, the Pokal and the Champions League. Still expected a second place finish, I would imagine. Absolutely. However, we've now got 2 players in that Media Dream 11, Coop Miners and Bellingham. The rest of the players there, all Bayern Munich players. And then schedule-wise then, we start off with games against Bayer Leverkusen, Freiburg, Werder Bremen, Hertha Berlin and Hoffenheim as my first 5 games before we take on Leipzig the game after. We don't take on Bayern Munich until the 8th of October. So hopefully by that point, we've got a bit of momentum going and we've got the pressure on Bayern if they are in top spot. So yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to move forward to the end of Season 1, where hopefully we've toppled Bayern at the first attempt and we've done some serious work in the Champions League. Right, so it's the end of Season 1 and we have just about snatched it. Luck was on our side this time round as we finished with 75 points on the board and we take the Bundesliga crown. But like I say, Leipzig, so close, 75 points themselves, 32 goals for them. But yeah, we managed to snatch it by 10 goals, that is all. And then when we look at the league table, 34 games played, 24 wins, 3 draws, 7 defeats, 78 goals scored, 36 conceded, 42 goal difference, 75 points on the board, and we lost our final game of the season as well, so we almost blew it. So looking at the competitions then, obviously the Bundesliga, and we've won the Pokal as well, so winner there, we do a domestic double, a 3-1 victory over Werder Bremen. Moukoko with goals on 14 and 40, Fulbo with a goal on the first half stoppage time, and then Julian Brandt on 65 minutes getting us the win. Deserved winners, I would say, 15 shots, 7 on target, 47% possession we got, not overly worried about that. And Moukoko with a player of the match performance, like I say, 2 goals and an assist for him. But what about the finances then? Like I say, the domestic double has done nothing for our transfer budget. As you can see there, £17.6 million I'm taking into next summer. A wage budget of £2.3 million. Overall balance is £41 million. Debt and loans, net debt is still 0, and that transfer debt now down to £75 million. I'm surprised that we haven't had more of that coming to the club yet. Yes, it'll be paid in instalments, but I'm hoping to see a little bit of that tick over into this summer transfer budget, because that £17 million is nowhere near good enough if we're now starting to want to push on in Europe. So looking at the player stats then, Moukoko scored 27 goals this season. Was he the top goal scorer in the league? I'd be surprised if that's enough, and it is. 19 goals in the league, was the top goal scorer. Wowzers, that's crying out for a real elite player to tear it up. The highest average rating also went to Moukoko with a 7.3. Most assists was Marco Reus with 15. Best pass completion was Mats Hummels with 92%. Most player of the match awards was Moukoko with 9. And most yellow cards were Sula and Schlotterbeck with 13 apiece. No red cards though, which is good. And then when we look at the team stats, 78 goals scored, which is the best. We conceded far too many. 36 conceded this season, which is the 5th best. 68 yellow cards, which is the 6th worst. No red cards, which is the best. And we had the highest average attendance at just shy of 78,000. So there we go. First season down, not too much to talk about there. We almost blew it on the final game of the season. Who was our final game against? So we actually lost 1-0 to Mainz, so we almost blew it. But yeah, Bayern Munich slipping up, Leipzig going into second, and we just crawl over the line. So yes, there we go. We're going to move forward to the start of season 2, where hopefully someone pumps some funds into this transfer budget, because if not, we may get left behind. Right then guys, so here we are at the start of season 2 and we've come back early because the German Super Cup is about to happen as we take on RB Leipzig. But before that, financially, I've ruined the club a bit. I've done a little bit of a madness and I've brought in a player that we probably didn't need. Not in line with how Borussia Dortmund operate, but I think it's a player that can potentially take us to that next level and is ready to go now. However, that transfer budget is knackered because of it. I've got 210k left and the wages done, nearly 100k over budget. I am trying to get Mounier out of the club, and if he goes, that'll save me 160k per week, but that hasn't happened, and at this moment in time we are in the red. The overall balance is 111 million pounds, and the debt and loans net debt is 0, and our transfer debt is now 88 million. So players leaving, and the first player to go was Julian Ryzen. So he was already out on loan at Borussia Mönchengladbach, and he has gone for £4 million. Didn't actually play for us last season, like I say, was out on loan. 15 games he played for them, and they've decided to keep him. Thorgan Hazard has gone off to Real Sociedad. He has left for £4.6 million. He was out on loan last season at PSV, where he played 23 times, 8 goals, 4 assists. Decent performance for him last season, but he's now 30-year-old, and I could have kept him for another season, but I've got better options out in those wide areas, so I let him go. Matteo Morey, a player that I've actually brought into the club on previous rebuilds. I've let him go to Leipzig, and he has gone for £3.2 million. He was actually out on loan last season at Montpellier, where he played 33 times with 5 assists. And yeah, I've just brought in better options out on that right-hand side, so he's gone. And then the big outgoing was one of my youngsters. So the 21-year-old Asgar Nauf, if that's how you pronounce his name, is a right attacking midfielder, winger, quality player with acceleration 16, pace 15, that crossing and dribbling good as well. He was out on loan at Frankfurt last season, where he played 30 times with 3 assists, with 23.5 million from Atalanta, up to 25 million pounds with add-ons, and I needed the money, and you see my transfer budget before the season started. So yeah, I let one of my youngsters go. It's upset a couple of the fans, but the offer was just too good to refuse at this point in time. So joining us then, the first player through the door is a 23-year-old Italian, Raul Bellanova. Joins us to play out on that right-hand side, could potentially play out on the left as well. Acceleration and pace both 16, crossing and dribbling 14. Valued up to £7.6 million. We brought him in for £6.5 million. He's actually out on loan last season at Inter Milan, where he played 5 times. Didn't have a good season with a 6.56 rating. However, very happy to get this guy into the club. Then I spent big money on Murat Demiral, so he joins us for £20.5 million from Atalanta. They brought him in for £18 million last season, played 32 times in Serie A, and I'm very happy to get him in. Quality technical and mental attributes. In fairness, he's very good all round, and his media description is an elite centre-back. So yeah, very happy to get him in. 25-year-old, he'll get plenty of game time this season. I'm sure like Mats Hummels now, he'll be starting to wind down. He won't be playing every game this season, so I've brought in another quality centre-back option. And then I brought in another youngster, so I've brought in Lavro Zovnarek, 18-year-old Croat, who I've brought in for £3.5 million from Bayern Munich. They've doubled the money on him after bringing him in from Slavan Belupo in Croatia. But yeah, I'm very happy to get him in. £3.5 million. He's gone straight into my under-19s. Wants to play out on the left-hand side, but I'm going to bring him in to play in that centre. Potentially behind the striker, but more than likely in midfield. We may not actually get to see this guy throughout this rebuild, but he's a very good option should you want to continue this after Season 3. And then the madness deal that I've done, I've brought in Luis Alberto. He's 30-year-old, and like I say, goes against what Borussia Dortmund are all about, but I wanted somebody extra to play behind the striker, and he's a very, very good option. World-class midfielder, valued at £40 million, and I brought him in for £20 million. He was transfer listed, Lazio wanted him off the books. He played 32 times with 5 assists last season, didn't get any goals. That is a worry, but I think he's got goals in him, and I'm hoping this guy can take us to the next level, as we only just claimed the Bundesliga crown last season by the skin of our teeth. So tactically then, I've dropped it off a little bit now. We're going to play a 4-2-3-1. On a positive mentality, playing a tick-attacker style with Corbel in goal, Guerrero, Soule, Demiral and Wolf at the back, with Bellingham and Koopmeiners in the middle, Brandt, Luis Alberto and Adeyemi out wide, and Makoko up front. That is a quality starting 11, and that bench is also stacked. We can put Haller on up front, we could put Emre Can on in the middle, Marco Reus can go then behind the striker. There's so many options here. We've got Malen, Bellanova, who can potentially go out on that side as well. We are stacked. It's a very good team with good depth, which is lucky because we've got plenty of games to play this season. The Bundesliga, the Champions League, the Pokal, and that German Super Cup as well. But in the Bundesliga, what is the expectation this season? And so the season preview is a second place finish. We've now only got one player in the Media Dream 11, which is absolutely dominated by Bayern Munich players. Not even Bellingham can get in there. As you can see, Rafa Benitez has gone to Bayer Leverkusen. Diego Simeone also at Bayern Munich. So plenty of movements going on. We're still here. What is the biggest transfer fee of the summer? João Cancelo staying at Bayern Munich for £50 million. And Thierry Rendell Carrera has also gone to Bayern Munich for £48 million. That's a lot of money for him. 24-year-old Portuguese player. Not even fully capped yet. But yeah, they've gone all out for him. And then finally, looking at the schedule, obviously we've got this game against Leipzig in the Super Cup, and then we take on Mainz, Augsburg, Hertha Berlin, Freiburg, and Werder Bremen. So what we're going to do is we'll just move forward for the one game, and hopefully we get our first bit of silverware against Leipzig. Right, and here we go then, hopefully we pick up the win. As we do, we win the German Super Cup 3-1. Leipzig absolutely battered. Luis Alberto, there we go. Justification if there ever was needed. Scoring on 10 minutes, giving us a lead. We actually concede straight away as Kunku gets the goal on 11 before Makoko on 13. So 3 goals in 3 minutes. And then he gets what proves to be the final goal on 41 minutes. 3-1 at half time. No goals after that. But yeah, Luis Alberto sets us on our way. And he also gets an 8.1, which is up there with the player of the match, Makoko. So yeah, very happy with how that started. So looking at it again, we get our first bit of silverware, and now we just need to push on in the Bundesliga. Again, returning the title, which would be massive for us. Getting the Pokal, if we can go for a domestic treble, as it would be, and then push on a Champions League, that is a dream for Season 2. So there we go then, guys. Season 2 is down and we have retained the Bundesliga crown as we finish 11 points clear of Leipzig. We have 80 points on the board. That's absolutely massive for us. Bayern Munich getting a 4th place finish, and they've only just jumped up into 4th by the look of it there. Leipzig in 2nd, Köln in 3rd. But let's have a look at it in more detail as we played 34 games, 25 wins, 5 draws, 4 defeats, 98 goals scored, 38 conceded, 60 goal difference, 80 points on the board. We actually only won one of our last 5 games. We drew 2 and lost 2, so we tried our best to blow, but it looks like we were too far clear at that point. Hannover, Darmstadt and HSV all going down, but yeah, Bayern Munich just making the way up. In fairness, with a final day victory there as well. Last season, what did we get? 75 points, so we finished 5 points better off this season. So looking at the past positions and deserved winners, we have been top of the league since match day 8. But like I say, Bayern Munich just pushing themselves back up into Champions League places. With 3 games to go, though, are actually down in 6th place, so they've not had a good season at all. So competitions-wise then, we have got a domestic treble as we've won the Bundesliga, we've won the Pokal with a 5-4 victory over Augsburg. Wowzers, an 89th minute goal from Bellingham. In fairness though, we were always winning. They got a 92nd minute goal, which makes it look closer than it was. However, they only had 4 shots on target and scored 4 goals. So Corbel hasn't had a great game in goal there. And we obviously had that 3-1 victory against Leipzig at the start of the season as well. I think the biggest catastrophe though this season has been in the Champions League, where we actually finished bottom of the group. We only got 4 points out of a possible 18. We've had an absolute shocker there as Man United and Milan end up getting out of the group. Benfica taking 3rd place. You know, I would have liked an opportunity at the Europa League. However, we've just absolutely blown it with 1 win. We conceded 15 goals, only scoring 4. And let's have a look at those some big defeats. So we lost in that first game against Benfica 3-0. We actually got a 3-2 victory over Milan. But yeah, it was all downhill from there as we were smashed by Manchester United 4-0. We got a draw against United there, losing 2-0 against Milan, away from home at the San Siro, and then we were smashed again by Benfica 4-1. They're scoring 2 goals in injury time. So yeah, that's obviously where we need to focus now in Europe. It's very unlikely in our final season that we're going to win the Champions League, but we certainly need to do better than falling at the group stages. So finances wise then, for this coming season, we've got £120 million in the overall balance. The transfer budget's £42 million, and that wage budget is now £2.7 million. Debt and loans wise, net debt is zero, and we're down to £60 million in transfer debt now being owed back to us. And then finally, looking at the play stats, Makoko got 41 goals this season. Does that make him the best in the league again? It does, with 29 goals this season. Timo Werner with 26 in second place, and Musiala with 23 for Bayern Munich. Brandt had the highest average rating at a 7.45. The most assists were had by Reina and Brandt with 19 apiece. Best pass completion was Mats Hummels with 93%. Most player of the match awards was Brandt and Makoko with 8 apiece. Most yellow cards was Schlotterbeck with 14, and most red cards Schlotterbeck with 1 as well. And then when we look at the team stats, team stats wise, we scored 98, which is the best. Disappointing that we were only 2 goals away from 100. Goals conceded 38, which is the 5th best. Yellow cards wise, 71, which is the 5th worst. 1 red card, which is the 5th worst, and we had the best average attendance again. So there you go then, guys. It's been a good season domestically. We have dominated, but that Champions League performance, you know, fortunately for me, we were doing an incredible job in the league, and that's kept me in my job, because I'm sure if we hadn't been in that top spot, I would have been in trouble after finishing bottom in the Champions League group stage. So yes, what we're going to do is we're going to move forward into season 3, where I've got some more money to spend, and hopefully I'll assemble a team that's going to perform much better in the Champions League next season. Right guys, it's now the 12th of August 2024, the start of Season 3, the transfer window is still going, and we have spent some serious dollar, we really have. We've had lots of players leave to build up some funds. I've still got deals getting over the line, all the incomings are done now as far as I'm concerned. I've still got a player yet to leave, for big money considering what we paid for him, but yeah, what a transfer window it has been. So looking at the finances, we've now got £193 million in their overall balance. The transfer budget is £28 million. Like I say, I'm not expected to spend any more than that. And we could have another £25 million going into that as well. So we could end this transfer window with over £50 million still left in the bank. And the wage budget's £2.7 million, and we're currently spending £2.94. Debt and loans wise, no net debt. Transfer debt is £51 million. So the first player to leave then was Sebastian Haller. Now we spent big money bringing him in. Well, I say we, it was just before I took over where we spent £29.5 million bringing him in. And he never featured. Clearly he was unwell at the start of the first season, and we lost him for the majority of that. However, the second season he was fully fit, and he only played 9 times, scoring once with 1 assist, a 6.7 rating. He's not good enough. And he's gone to Zenit St. Petersburg for £16 million, but he's played 3 times, scored 3 goals, a 7.93 rating. It was decent money for a £16 million, and Zenit look like they've got a steal. Felix Passlack stays in the Bundesliga, going to Eintracht Frankfurt. We let him go for £4.6 million. Again last season, he only played 5 times, a 6.62 rating, was never going to feature long term. Those attributes aren't great. Yes, he's got plenty of pace and acceleration, but that's about it, so it was time to move him on. Then Maria Demiral, a player that I brought in last season. So I've got a confession to make. Last season, the transfers that I brought in didn't really work out. Demiral was one of them. He's a quality player, an elite centre-back, but he just did not get the game time, only playing 12 times as last season, with Mats Hummels still being the main man at centre-back. So we spent £20.5 million for him, and then Manchester United come out of nowhere with a £40 million bid, so I took it. I had no intention of selling the guy. I thought he would have got more game time this season as Mats Hummels is winding down, but yeah, £40 million, it's a very good offer for us. He's 26-year-old. He doesn't really stick in with the philosophy of the players. You know, I was wanting players below the age of 25, really. So yes, Demirali's had 1 season for us, and we've doubled our money on him. Another player that didn't really go with the philosophy last season was Luis Alberto. Now, he had 1 season for us, but he's gone off to the Premier League to Everton, and they've taken him on for £20 million. So he played 33 times last season, 2 goals, 3 assists, a 6.83 rating. Everton come in with the bid that I made last season, and I thought, you know, £20 million. He is now 31 years old. He's a world-class midfielder, but again, at 31, I've got Reina who can play in his role, so it was time to just move him on after 12 months with us. And there was a deal that I didn't really want to do, but my hands were tied as Guerrero said he wanted to leave. He has gone off to the Serie A to Atalanta for £22.5 million. I could have easily got another couple of seasons out of this guy. But yeah, he played 24 times for us, 1 goal, 9 assists last season, a 7.18 rating, one of our better performers. And like I say, he wanted to leave, so £22.5 million for our best attacking fullback. Whilst it's disappointing, he's now valued at £39 million. It was a deal that just needed to be done because I would have lost him on a free transfer at the end of the season. And then another player who could potentially be leaving us is another one that joined us last season. Raul Bellanova is potentially going to leave us for £25 million. Now that's £10 million up front, and 15 million add-ons, but yeah, Bellanova could either be going to Corn or Juventus. Corn have come in with the offer so far. Actually, I'll tell a lie, it's £23.5 million, but £10 million of that is up front. He's a decent player, but again, he got no game time for me last season, only playing 7 times, getting 2 assists. We brought him in for 6.5 million, so if I can get 23.5 back for him, it's an incredible deal. So players in then, the first player through the door was Brandon Williams, the 23-year-old Englishman, joins us on a free transfer from Manchester United. He actually played 20 times in the Premier League for United last season, and we brought him in, like I say, for the free. He's valued at £5.8 million. He's versatile, he can play out on the left and right hand side, decent pace, 16 acceleration and pace, crossing and dribbling 12. His mental attributes are solid, very good squad dev option as we try to compete in as many competitions as we can this season. Another player that would fit in with Borussia Dortmund's philosophy is Callum Hudson-Odoi, 23-year-old Englishman with 3 caps, joins us on a free transfer from Chelsea. He played 4 times in the Bundesliga last season. He has actually been on loan at Bayer Leverkusen, where he played 18 times, 2 goals, 4 assists, 2 player of match performances, a 6.84, not great, but it does give us a taster of what he could bring to the team, and I'm very happy to get him in. Now valued at £25 million, can play out on the left and right hand side. His attributes are absolutely shocking. Technically, you know, not where he needs to be, but I'm hoping he can bring something to the table. And then with Haller I've brought in Fernino, so 23-year-old Spaniard, no caps, but he has been setting the Spanish second division alight. Yes, he's been in Villarreal's B team where he played 41 times, scoring 22 goals last season. He scored 29 the season before. Those average ratings are very good, and he's not going to be a starter, but I'm hoping he's someone that can come in, be a super sub maybe, and nick us a few goals. Then I started spending the money, so the first player that I actually spent some money on was Khephren Thuram, real quality player, 6'4", central midfielder, a world-class player indeed. And he was at Nice last season where he played 32 times in Ligue 1, 7 goals, 3 assists, 4 player of match performances, a 7.24. He's going to come into play in the central midfield. We're obviously not playing with a deeper midfielder anymore, so yes, he comes in, and I've got a real quality mix in my midfield now. I then went out and bought the best young German goalkeeper there was to offer, the 18-year-old Dennis Seaman. Now, he is quality. £13.5 million we spent for him. He's been at VfB Stuttgart, and he's been getting game time in their second string team, but he's very, very good indeed. My one worry would be he's not going to get much game time and he might deteriorate. However, I think over these next 12 months, even just being around the first team will be enough to continue his development. Then I brought in another youngster, the 23-year-old Frenchman Anthony Renault joins us for £10.25 million from Toulouse. He played 34 times in Ligue 1 last season, a 6.91 rating. He's not a starter. That heading of 16, he's 6'1". That heading of 16, marking 14. Tackling 14, he's a very good player. He's not quite there yet, but after a couple of seasons, I'm sure he will be. Then another exciting young talent, Dominik Szoboszlai, joins us from Leipzig for £30 million. I think that's a good deal for us. He played 31 times last season. He's obviously got plenty of Bundesliga time. 5 goals, 6 assists, a 6.99 rating. He is an attacking midfielder. Ideally, I'd want him to play there, but he wants to play on the left-hand side. And his attributes are solid. That flair of 16, technique of 16, free kick taken 16 as well. A very, very good player. Valued up to £36 million and 41 caps already for Hungary. And then I wanted to strengthen at centre-back with obviously Demiral leaving, so I brought in Arthur Theater, a 24-year-old Belgian with 16 caps, £59 million he's now valued at, and he's an elite centre-back. And we have brought him in for £35 million from Rennes, where he played 29 times last season with 2 assists, a 7 rating. Very, very good option, and he's not the finished article. So tactically then, we are going to stick with that 4-2-3-1, and I'm going to play with Kobel in goal. Roffer, who's been out on loan the last couple of seasons, is a wonder kid at left back. Very, very good, and we're going to integrate him into the first team now. He was on loan at Freiburg last season in the Bundesliga. He played 31 times, and the season before that, he was out on loan at Kaiserslautern. So I'm very happy to get him in, and he's now going to come in as my replacement for Guerrero. But looking back at the rest of the squad, Fiata, Sula and Wolf at the back with Thuram and Bellingham in the middle. We've also got Koopmeiners that can drop in there as well with Brandt, Reina and Adeyemi, and then Makoko up front. That bench is absolutely stacked with talent as well. That is the big thing. If we're going to try and get to the last stages of all these other competitions, we're going to need a high quality of depth in the squad, and I think we've got that this season. So competitions-wise, then we've got the Bundesliga, the Champions League, the Pokal, and we've already won the Super Cup on penalties after a 1-1 draw, and I'm very happy with that result. That is a game that we should have lost, really. A 90th minute goal from Makoko, a 93rd minute goal from Werner, but we've had such a change in the squad, the team cohesion's not really going to be there, so to get a penalty victory regardless is very good going indeed. But looking at the season preview then, we are expected a second place finish in the league. We've now got 4 players in the Media Dream 11. So we've got Korbel, Koopminers, Bellingham and Moukoko in there now. And Arne Slot has taken over at Bayern Munich after last season's capitulation where they just snuck into the Champions League places. And then finally, looking at the schedule, we start off with games against Eintracht Frankfurt, Hoffenheim, Leipzig, Mönchengladbach and Freiburg as my first 5 games. We don't take on Bayern Munich to the 19th of October, so by that point, hopefully, the team cohesion is sorted, as I do worry about it when we look at the dynamics. The team cohesion is apparently good. I will take that. And I've got 9 players that now support us, considering I've never managed a game. That isn't bad going at all. So what we're going to do is we're going to move forward to the end of season 3, where hopefully we've given a better account of ourselves in that Champions League. And yet, ideally, we get a domestic treble again. Right then, guys, the end of season 3, and we have snatched this on goal difference, it looks like, on the final game of the season. Bayern have absolutely bottled it. Well, I say they've bottled it. Let's have a look in more detail at what actually went on. So looking at the league table, 81 points apiece, plus 49 goal difference, 1 clear of Bayern Munich. What were the final games? So Bayern Munich actually drew 1-1 on the final game of the season against Borussia Mönchengladbach. We end up winning 5-0. An 88th minute goal from Moukoko gets us the victory. And we end up winning the league, like I say, by 1 goal. So competitions-wise, then obviously we win the Bundesliga. We got to the semi-final of the Champions League, but we didn't do too bad, losing 7-5 on aggregate. We got beat 4-2 at home, though. Not a great result, as Liverpool make it to the final, where they end up winning 1-0 against PSG. Let's just have a quick look at that, as Ibrahima Konate gets a goal on 17 minutes. Deserved winners, Liverpool there. We also win the Pokal in extra time after Selke missed a penalty on 16 minutes for Köln. But yeah, Szoboszlai with a penalty on 120 minutes gets us the win. And we win that German Super Cup as well at the start of the season. So it's a domestic treble again this season. So finances wise then, we've got £267 million in the overall balance. Our transfer budget is £59 million next season, £2.7 million to spend on the wage budget. You've basically got 600k to play with there. Debt and loans wise, net debt is still at 0, so I haven't ruined the club in this rebuild, that's a good thing. And transfer debt is £28.8 million. Then looking at the player stats, Moukoko goes from strength to strength, gone 48 goals this season. Is he the top goal scorer again? He isn't this season. In the league, Randal Kolo Muani gets 32 goals. So Moukoko can't do it this season. However, there's 7 goals between 2nd and 3rd place. Moukoko also had the highest average rating at a 7.35. Most assists was Giovanni Reina with 18. Best pass completion was Mats Hummels with 93%. Most player of the match awards was Moukoko with 9. And most yellow cards was Koopminers with 22 for him this season. And then looking at the team stats, 85 goals were scored, which is the best. We conceded 36, which is the 4th best. 78 yellow cards, which is the 3rd worst. No red cards, which is the best. And we had the highest average attendance again. Absolutely massive that we have dominated the Bundesliga over 3 seasons. And then when we look at the job history, the first season we got a 1st place finish, so we won the Bundesliga and the Pokal. In season 2 we won the domestic treble of the German Cup, the Bundesliga and the Pokal, and it was the same again in season 3. And then looking at the overview, so I bought 15 players for a total of 183 million, sold 37 for a total of 179. The highest transfer fee spent was 35 million for Theatre, and the highest fee received was 40 million for Demiral. So we spent and received basically the majority of our money in season 3. I think we can look at that from a transfer perspective when we look at the history. 130 million in outgoing transfers and 110 million in transfers coming in. So that is it then, guys, the end of the Borussia Dortmund rebuild. They bottled it in real life. However, we've come close in a couple of seasons. I think season 1 we snatched it on the final day, and it looks like we've snatched it on the final day here as well in season 3. Obviously season 2 was a bit more conclusive. However, we have not been able to crack Europe. That's the main thing. So if you want to carry on this save and see if you can actually crack Europe, it will be available down in the description, so give it a go. And also don't forget to vote for the next team you would like to see rebuild. So yes, thank you very much for watching. Like I say, if you are new to the channel, please like and subscribe, as we are very close to that 2,500 subscribers, and that is one hell of a milestone, as I started out just doing this for a bit of fun, and it is still a bit of fun. So yes, as always, thank you very much for watching, stay safe, and I'll catch you later. Ta-ra.